Okay guys, this is the next video we're looking at and the topic we're going to do next lesson, which is going to be drugs in sport, in particular looking at the difference between recreational and performance enhancing. The first task that you need to do though is just a little task from last lesson, and you need to tell me what hemoglobin is. I just want a sentence saying what it is and what its role within the body is. Okay, you don't have to link it into smoking or anything, it's just something I want you to find out because I don't think everybody picked this up last lesson. Okay, so drugs. Drugs is broken down into two strands. Okay, it's broken into recreational and performance enhancing. Alright, both of these strands obviously can lead to bans within sport, and some of the drugs cross over as being recreational also. Maybe not performance enhancing, but they can lead to bans in sport. So for example, if someone's been found positive for taking cannabis, even though it's a recreational drug and it's not strictly performance enhancing, okay, you can still be banned from your sport. If we look at Google, all right, and we type in drug sports cheats, spell famous properly, that would be good. We have got there. We've got Asif Pal, who's recently been banned. We've got Lance Armstrong. All right, we've got Terry Newton there. We've got Marion Jones, who actually went to jail. Ben Johnson, that's the guy from the 82 Olympics, I think it was, who got banned for performance enhancing drugs. But there's people all across different sports who, even though they know it is strictly illegal, are still getting banned even today for taking drugs. Okay, so recreational drugs is basically broken down to things like alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, and cannabis. All right. All of them are seen as recreational drugs, even though some of them aren't socially acceptable, such as cannabis and cocaine, and even tobacco to a sense. They're still prevalent, within society. The recreational, because of the fact that people take it in their own time, or drink or smoke it within their own time, and it's not strictly seen, all right, as performance enhancing. Okay, but if you do have too much cannabis in your system, or you've got cannabis in your system, you're a professional athlete, you could still be banned. Okay, so what I need you to do now is obviously we're going to look at performance enhancing as well. So you need a little subheading for performance enhancing if you haven't already done that for the recreational drugs as well. Okay, so performance enhancing drugs, these range from stimulants to increasing the amount of oxygen in blood to getting rid of fluids in the body. These are just some of the examples of what they actually are. All right. Athletes need to check medication at all times to ensure that something isn't in that medication or something that they're taking, like a supplement, that isn't on the illegals drug list. There was an athlete, well, it's happened to quite a few athletes, but there was an athlete at the 2002 Winter Olympics, Alan Baxter. He'd have been the first Brit to win a ski medal. I think it was a bronze medal he got. And there was a banned substance in like his nasal spray to clear his sinuses. Him and his doctor, they didn't check it properly, and he ended up being found guilty of performance enhancing drugs and losing his medal. So the athletes really have to be careful. And there's also the instance of the fact that they've always got to let testers or doping inspectors know where they are at certain times, so they can be tested, so they can call on them at any time within a certain time period, and they've got to be at that location. Rio Ferdinand fell foul of this and got banned a few years ago because he refused, or he failed to provide a sample to a drugs tester. So it is massively important. Okay, so performance enhancing isn't just drugs that people can take. It can also include things like blood doping. So whereas as soon as I say to you like performance enhancing drugs, you'll think of things like steroids. All right, it isn't just that. There's things like blood doping and EPO. All right, and what this does, EPO, is it boosts the amount of red blood cells within the body. All right, now red blood cells obviously carry oxygen, so the more red blood cells you've got in your body, the more oxygen you're going to be able to transport around the body and get to the working muscles. So your fatigue isn't going to set in as quickly, and you're able to work for a longer period of time without getting tired. Now, obviously, this is illegal. Okay, and it can be tested by having blood samples and seeing there's an abnormally high amount of blood cells within your count. Okay, but this was used a lot with things like in the Tour de France and long distance running, things like that, people trying to get that upper hand, and this was one of the ways that they did it. So this is done through blood transfusions to get more red blood cells in. It also links into athletes training at altitude, and this allows the body to improve how it uses oxygen, because obviously the higher up we go in terms of altitude, the less oxygen there is. So if an athlete is able to train the body to use as little oxygen, in a sense of when they're exercising or they're training, so if you've got a long distance runner who's training at altitude and they're getting good times, all right, their body's obviously using oxygen more efficiently because there's less oxygen there. So what some athletes might do is take a sample of the blood out of there when they're training at altitude, when they've got very good blood cells in there because the oxygen has been used really, really well, and then a day or two before the race they inject it back into themselves. So this is through the blood transfusion. It's all linked to EPO. But that's just one of the ways that a lot of athletes, or especially cyclists, for example, have been caught using this. So, performance-enhancing drugs. So these are just some of the types that there are. We're not going to really explain them because we're going to look at this within the lesson itself. All right, but we've got a list of stimulants. We've got anabolic agents, which obviously link into steroids. We've got diuretics. We've got blood doping. We've got beta blockers. We've got peptides and hormones, so things like EPO and HGH, which is human growth hormone. All right, and narcotic analgesics. I think that's pronounced right. I'll never get that right. All right, and caffeine. All right, as simple as it sounds, caffeine that can be seen as a performance-enhancing drug if it's used in certain sports. Okay, so that's the end of the slideshow. Like I say, it was only going to be that's the end of the PowerPoint. Like I say, it was only going to be a really dead sort of quick PowerPoint, because we're going to go through most of it within the lesson, but it just gives you an idea of what we're going to cover. Okay, what you sort of need to have an understanding about. If you can find any information about these list of performance-enhancing drugs, so what sort of stimulants might be drugs, what is a diuretic, all right, what are beta blockers. If you've got any information on them, bring them to the lesson with you, and we're going to go through it and start applying it a little bit more than the lesson. Okay then, thank you very much guys, cheers and see you on Monday.